So one thing I want to ask you is that you have an engineering background. And so I'm curious when you look at the technological landscape, I'm curious what most excites you there. Just kind of look, crypto is an obvious one, which we've discussed a little bit, but I wonder if there's anything other than crypto that from an engineering perspective, you look at on the technical landscape where you're like, oh, this could be really important for the types of projects that you're working on and that people in my audience might be working on.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I could answer that question straight. I think, there's some interesting things going on in like AI or whatever. I would sort of characterize it more as scary rather than exciting. But I think there's definitely some stuff, being done. But let me flip that around. I think the technology is not what needs to be done in the world of atoms. It's not what it's like fundamentally not the bottleneck, and it's even in like the material production area or just broadly like the things we call technology. I don't think actual technology is what we want. I think we haven't effectively used the technology that we have. We are no longer industrializing. We're no longer developing, and that's like further technology is kind of just this. It's cope. It's a thing that allows you to believe that there's a future despite like the overwhelming reality of decline. I think the actual place that effort needs to be applied, the actual thing that would excite me is like very mundane, like let's fix the potholes, let's apply high-speed rail, let's build more trains, let's build more transit, let's build better infrastructure, let's figure out how to actually do software engineering, let's like rebuild more of our software stack. Let's rebuild more of our industrial stack. Let's like build up more factories. Let's just actually be doing the thing, not just kind of inventing the thing, but doing the thing. And so I think that's the thing that excites me, is just this like vision of even with 1960s technology, we could be so much further than where we are industrially. Like we could be mining metals on other planets, like 16 Psyche is solid metal asteroid, right? It's like we could be mining metals. We could be, setting up an experimental base on Mars. We could be running, much better infrastructure, trains, buildings, like much more wonderful cities. There's just so much we could do from this very mundane perspective of like, let's just actually do the development thing. And so I'm just going to say that's, I think, what excites me. It is like just kind of polishing the technology that we have, which we're not doing.
Okay, so you think that technological innovation is something of a distraction, but you did say that you are interested in software engineering, and you even mentioned maybe revisiting the essence of the software stack that defines contemporary computing. So I've noticed that a lot of Palladium people are quite interested in Urbit. Urbit's something that I've been increasingly kind of interested in, and I've actually become somewhat more bullish on Urbit. I actually think it's more interesting and more compelling than a lot of people appreciate. I think people are kind of sleeping on Urbit. So is Urbit possibly interesting from the governance futurist perspective, or what's your take on Urbit if you have one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I can comment from governance futurism, but I don't know, maybe. Yeah, let's go for it. Okay. I think, the big problem in software is like we have this fundamental sort of ball of mud, as Curtis Yarvin called it, that is this pile of junky software that just keeps piling up, and we don't know how to like compress it. We don't know how to make it nice again. And it just keeps getting worse. I think Jonathan Blow has also had some very good commentary on this problem. And like the software ecosystem in some sense is out of control. And this isn't a technology problem. It's like, there's almost too much technology. It's like an organization problem. And I think Urbit is a really interesting project in that it's tackling that core problem, and it's saying, all right, look, we're going to do this kind of, paradigm reboot operation that we're trying with Palladium, but we're going to do it in software. We're going to just go and wipe the slate clean, learn all the lessons that we've learned, but forget all the particular pieces of infrastructure and sort of best practices and so on, build up a new computing stack with new ideas. And Urbit may or may not work in that, but I think it's very exciting that that kind of thing is being done. I think that kind of thing should be done. Urbit has this, I think it's got a great model in terms of how the networking works, how the identities work, how and you know, ideally not depending on you know, so much of the current software stack. If those things could actually be pulled off, that's huge. And so I think, yeah, it's very exciting, and I think it fits with what I'm saying of like, yeah, there's some new technology there, but it's kind of incidental to the actual organizational project, which I see as more primary. And like what needs to be done in software is not like new whiz-bang algorithms. It's just, though in some cases those will come up, it's just this like, let's actually go and develop something better, something with what we know, a better way of organizing things and just actually do the job. And I think, yeah, so Urbit is a great example of that. I'm occasionally on Urbit. It hasn't sort of hit its killer app moment for me yet, so I'm not fully on Urbit, but I think it's a cool project. But I think, yeah, again, on the question of like technology and whether technology is a distraction, I think technology follows from industrial development rather than leading it as much. I think it's much more like the actual idea of industry is taking the organizational forms we have and just optimizing them and improving them and working on them and just doing that continuous improvement thing on our whole society, and all the little kind of productive parts of it. And what comes out of that is plenty of new technologies, but also the material foundations for new technologies and all that. So I think the focus on technology is misplaced. I think that we will get technological acceleration if we got industrial acceleration. I think that, like, I don't think that technology development should stop or whatever. I think technology is great, but I just think that focus on technology development actually is misplaced. And what you actually want to be focusing on is just the holistic development. And yeah, so Urbit, I think, is part of this in the software area. I'd love to see more projects like it.